All right, welcome back to ABA exam review and our latest RBT practice exam. We're going to the next set of questions together and breaking them down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like and subscribe. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack. As always, when you pass, let us know so we can include you in our Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. Eric and Ari go out to lunch to discuss Vince's upcoming movie Aquaman. They both enjoy sushi and rice. When the check comes, Ari asks if Eric has the check covered and slides the check towards Eric. What type of prompt is Ari using? Okay, a couple things to note. We're looking at prompts, it's a prompting question, and then we're looking at Ari's behavior. Remember, in behavior questions, you always want to know who we're looking at and what the behavior is. And is it measurement? Is it antecedents? Is it consequences? In this case, prompts. So, what do we know about Ari? Well, Ari and Eric are eating lunch together. The check arrives. Ari asks if Eric has a check covered, which is the SD, and then the prompt is sliding the check towards Eric. So, one, Ari, did he act on the response or the stimulus? Well, he acted on the stimulus because he slid the check, which is the stimulus, towards Eric. So remember, you have stimulus prompts and you have response prompts. Ari acted on the stimulus. So we're looking for some sort of stimulus prompt. So a gestural prompt. A gestural prompt, of course, is gestures, pointing or indicating what response you would like to see. That is a response prompt. B, a verbal prompt. This is a spoken, typically a vocal prompt, telling someone, giving an additional vocal indicator of what you want to see. Again, a response prompt. C, a positional prompt. A positional prompt is a stimulus prompt. It acts directly on the stimulus, indicating what response you would like to see. In this case, Ari says, do you have the check covered? And then slides the check towards Eric. So he positions the check in a way that is indicating to Eric, well, it's your turn to get the check. So the positional prompt of sliding the check towards Eric, that would be a positional prompt or a stimulus prompt. And then D, physical prompt. Well, we know Ari did not physically prompt Eric to do anything. A, B, and D are all response prompts. A positional prompt is a stimulus prompt. Ari moves the check closer to Eric. He changes the position. So what type of prompt did Ari use? Well, a C, a positional prompt. Several years ago, Annie Thompson taught a boy named Craig. Craig was one of Annie's favorite students that she ever taught. 10 years after Craig left Annie's class, Craig saw Annie at the store and said, Miss Thompson? Craig is demonstrating blank relative to saying Annie's name. So we're looking at whose behavior? We're looking at Craig's behavior relative to saying Annie's name. So basically, Craig saying Annie's name is what? What is Craig demonstrating? Well, we know Annie taught Craig a while ago, one of her favorite students. It's been 10 years since Craig left Annie's class. So 10 years since Annie has taught Craig. Craig saw Annie at the store 10 years later and said, Miss Thompson. Now, how was Craig able to do that? 10 years later, not being taught by Annie, not interacting with Annie, he still says her name. Why? A, stimulus generalization. Well, with stimulus generalization, we've had a single response that occurs across or in the presence of multiple stimuli. That's not the case here, right? We've got one response in the presence of one teacher. Okay. He's not generalizing across stimuli. What he's doing is maintaining. He's maintaining this behavior. Maintenance is being able to engage in a behavior once teaching stops and then over an extended period of time. So even 10 years later, Craig still remembers Annie's name, Miss Thompson, and is still able to engage in the behavior. The behavior has maintained. C, interverbal. And interverbal is a conversational conversation or a response to another person asking you something or telling you something. Interverbals are basically conversations between two people. It's not what's happening here, right? Craig saw Annie and said, Miss Thompson. Okay, if anything, it was either a tact labeling Miss Thompson or a man asking for Miss Thompson's name. And then D, overgeneralization. Well, no, overgeneralization occurs when a response happens at the wrong time or in the wrong place. This is totally appropriate. Craig has been able to maintain this behavior over a long, long period of time, almost over 10 years. So relative to saying Annie's name, Craig has demonstrated maintenance because now he is still able to identify Annie by her name. A student engages in procrastination on a frequent basis. His tutor wants to use a momentary time sampling measurement system to measure the student's engagement with work behavior. What will this type of measurement indicate to the tutor? Okay, kind of a more difficult question. You have to think really hard about measurement here. Okay, and what type of measurement are we using? Okay, we are using momentary time sampling, and momentary time sampling records a response when, or momentary time sampling records a response if the response is occurring at the end of each interval. And that's how you've got to think about measurement systems. Okay, what am I using? I'm using frequency. When does frequency record a response? Well, every time a response occurs, we're counting a response. Once you start getting in that habit, you'll quickly get fluent in these different type of measurement systems. So we're using, or the tutor is using, momentary time sampling measurement systems to measure engagement with work. So when will the tutor record a response for engagement with work? Well, if engagement with work is occurring at the end of each interval. So what is this type of measurement actually going to indicate to the tutor? And this question highlights one of the flaws or downsides of discontinuous measurement. So what exactly will momentary time sampling tell the tutor about engagement with work? A, how long the student is engaged with work. Well, A would be duration, and we're not taking duration. If my interval is 20 seconds and I'm using momentary time sampling, I'm only taking data at the end of the interval, so only at 20 seconds. It's only telling me, is that behavior occurring, yes or no, not the length. B, if the student is engaged with work at a certain point in time. Yes, it's only going to tell me, did behavior occur at the end of this interval, yes or no? Did the behavior occur at the end of this interval, yes or no? It's only telling me, did this behavior occur at a certain point in time? That's it. C, at what rate does the student engage with their work? Well, it's not telling me rate because I'm not taking a frequency, right? I'm just saying, is this behavior occurring at this time? Yes or no? Okay. So you've got almost a rough frequency, a rough kind of indicator of when is this behavior occurring, but it's not going to give you a true measure of rate. Because remember, it's discontinuous and you're only taking data at the end of each interval. So you're not going to get a true rate. You're not going to get a true duration. You're going to find out if the student is engaged with work at a certain point in time. The spring semester is finally over, so Lori and her friends all head to the beach for a weekend getaway. They get there early in the morning, but once the sun comes out, Lori pulls a bottle of sunscreen from her bag and applies it to her skin. The sun functions as a what? So whose behavior? Well, the sun, and the sun's not really engaging in a behavior. So we're really looking at the sun relative to Lori. Lori and her friends are all at the beach. They get there early in the morning. When the sun comes out, Lori pulls a bottle of sunscreen from her bag and applies it to her skin. So we know the sun is, one, an antecedent. It's either going to be a motivating operation or discriminative stimuli. Because remember, a prompt occurs in between the SD and the response, and there's no clear SD prior to the sun coming out. So once the sun comes out, only then does Lori pull the bottle of sunscreen from her bag. So you have to ask yourself, did the sun increase the value of sunscreen? Or did it signal to Lori that using the sunscreen was more valuable? Well, it increased the value of the sunscreen because now putting the sunscreen on her skin is going to prevent or take away the threat of sunburn. Lori could have pulled the bottle of sunscreen out from her bag at any time. The SD was always there. There was always a signal that sunscreen was available, whether it was her bag or the bottle of sunscreen. The sunscreen was always available. Only when the sun came out did the value of that bottle of sunscreen increase, or applying that bottle of sunscreen increase to the point that Lori decided to take it from her bag. So the sun functioned as a motivating operation because it increased the value. It made Lori want that bottle of sunscreen. Remember, put it very simply, motivating operations make you want or not want something, while discriminative stimuli signal that something is or isn't available. So this is a trickier question, especially for RBTs. If you got this one right, that is fantastic. If not, that's okay. Review, review, review. Motivating operations make you want, not want. Discriminative stimuli signal something is or isn't available. And then consequence, well, we know it's an antecedent, so it can't be a consequence. The son functions as a motivating operation. You arrive at a client's house and you notice that the parents are acting differently. You ask what is wrong, and they tell you that your supervising analyst changed the behavior plan and did not let them know. They were very upset by this. What should you do as the behavior technician? Remember, as a behavior technician, what is your role? Implementation, right? You're implementing treatment plans, you're implementing behavior plans, you're taking data. That is your role. Okay. Your role is not designing treatment plans. You can assist in assessments and trainings and things like that, not your primary role. So remember what our ethics code and the task list always emphasizes. In situations where you're asked questions like this, or you're asked questions about treatment plans, or your supervisor, you should always immediately promptly communicate with said supervisor. In this case, you ask the parents what is wrong. They tell you the analyst changed the behavior plan and did not let them know. So, in case you didn't know, that is not okay. If the supervisor changes treatment plans and behavior plans, they've got to get consent from the parents. So, the parents are understandably upset. Now, what should you do in this situation? You're in a tough situation here. A, apologize and explain that you will start using the old behavior plan again. Well, no, because that's not your call, right? Maybe the behavior plan's better. Either way, that isn't your call. You can't just start using the old behavior plan because the parents are upset. You've got to first verify with the supervisor. B, apologize and say that your supervisor sometimes forgets these things and they did not mean it. You don't want to throw your supervisor under the bus. Remember, your supervisors, you're all a team. You're collaborative. You want to make each other look good. You don't want to ruin relationships. B is way too harsh. It's not respectful. It's not the right way to do it. C, apologize and tell them that you will contact your supervisor immediately. This is always the best answer. Okay, apologize if they're upset, and just say I'll reach out immediately and get to the bottom of this. Okay, and then you along with your supervisor can work it out. This is the best way to maintain relationships, communicate openly and honestly, and remain ethical. And then D, apologize, but say that you must use the behavior plan that is currently in place. Again, not your call. Just relay what the parent said to your supervisor. So apologize and tell them that you will contact your supervisor immediately. You enjoy watching the show Selling Sunset on Netflix, but you only like to watch 1 or 2 episodes per night. After the second episode, you don't feel like watching another one until at least the following day. What has occurred? So what has occurred? Why has your behavior changed? And what is the behavior change? Well, you like watching the show Selling Sunset, but you only watch 1 or 2 episodes per night. Once the second episode is over, you're done. You don't want to watch another one until the following day. So you're done. The value of watching this show has decreased. You no longer want to engage in watching the show. Either watching the show is no longer providing you reinforcement. It might even be punishing. We're not sure. Okay. All we know is after the second episode, you're done. So what might have occurred? A, deprivation. Well, what does deprivation mean? Deprivation means you haven't gotten enough of something. You're lacking something. In this case, you're not lacking watching the show. You're not lacking the show. You're satiated. You're B. It's satiation. You've gotten too much of the show. It's no longer valuable to you until the next night, because after you stop watching, satiation or deprivation begins. And it's a cycle. You're deprived, you're satiated. You're deprived, you're satiated. And this is where how motivating operations work. You're deprived, the value goes up. You're satiated, the value goes down. C, an establishing operation. Well, an establishing operation increases the value of the stimuli or the consequence. The value of watching the show is no longer valuable. It's decreased. So if anything, it's an abolishing operation. What has occurred? You're satiated on the show. It's not valuable anymore. Your behavior changes. You no longer want to watch it. So what has occurred? B, satiation. 6 months have passed since you started working as a behavior technician, and you feel confident in your abilities working with children with autism. Today, you are assigned a client who has bipolar disorder. What must you be sure of as a behavior technician prior to starting this case? All right, this is an ethical question along the lines of competence. And why do we know that? Well, we know that you're confident working with children with autism. That's great. Today, you got a client who has bipolar disorder. And even BCBAs, even BCBADs who work with children with autism, that doesn't mean they're experts in all disabilities and all populations. Don't ever let anyone convince you that they are, because that's just not the case. There's certain expertise that comes along with working with different populations. Bipolar disorder is something very unique, and just because you've worked with children with autism does not qualify you to work with bipolar disorder. So prior to starting this case, what must you do? A, you must make sure the parents are fully on board with the treatment plan. Well, again, remember your role is as the technician. A is not part of your role. B, you must ensure that you're competent enough to take on this case. Absolutely. You must always ensure competence. C, you must verify that you have proper supervision for this case. Absolutely as well. Okay. Even BCBAs who take on cases that maybe they're not as familiar with or new to have to ensure they have supervision. Technicians, for sure, if this is a new area for you, you have to make sure you're competent, and then you have to have proper supervision. You have to have somebody you can ask questions to, you can go to with problems. So if you're going to start this case, you must, one, be competent enough, and two, you must ensure proper supervision. The answer here is going to be D, both B and C. A team meeting involving all three technicians working on a specific case is held on Thursday. At the meeting, the technicians are asked to describe the magnitude of the behavior. Which of the following descriptions will be most acceptable? You might think this looks very similar to a recent question. That's because it is. I've only changed one word, and that's to emphasize the importance of reading closely. The word I changed is magnitude. It was function at one point. It was topography at one point, because it changes the entire question. You're at a team meeting with three technicians. At the meeting, they're asked to describe the magnitude. So all three need to describe the magnitude. So which of the following descriptions would be most acceptable? The only descriptions acceptable are the ones that describe magnitude or intensity. So A, the client repeatedly grabs Play-Doh or putty and opens and closes their fist when they're bored. Tells me the topography, right? Tells me a subjective idea about it. Does not tell me magnitude. B, the client will grab Play-Doh or putty and squeeze very hard throughout the day for sensory reasons. Good. Very hard. That's an order of magnitude. Hard, soft, big, small, quiet, loud. All these things are intensity, they're magnitude. And then we even get a function. So B is pretty good. C, the client will grab Play-Doh or something similar throughout the day for control. Again, there's no magnitude, there's no intensity. And then D, the client will grab putty or Play-Doh and engage with it for hours at a time. Well, we have a measurement, right? Some sort of measurement, some sort of loose measurement. But again, no magnitude or intensity. The only answer choice that represents magnitude or intensity is B. The client will grab Play-Doh or putty and squeeze very hard throughout the day for sensory reasons. All right, as always, check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials, including the combo pack. Please subscribe, work hard, study hard. See you soon.